Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to get into something pretty wild. It's alleged electromagnetic targeting.
Yeah, this one's definitely out there.
Yeah, it is. It is. But that's why we're here, right? To dive into the stuff that makes you kind of go, huh, what is that all about?
Yeah.
And so this is going to be based on a firsthand account from a Dr. Catherine Horton. She's a physicist who claims to be a victim of these attacks.
Right. And it's interesting, with her background in particle physics, she's approaching this from a very scientific perspective, which makes it really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she's clearly a very intelligent person.
Absolutely.
So she's not just, saying, oh, this is happening and I'm crazy.
Right.
It's more like, this is happening. Let me try to figure this out. Let me analyze this.
Exactly.
So how does she think this is being used against her? I mean, most people think about microwaves as something that you heat up leftovers with.
Right. Well, the principle is actually similar to how laser light can pass through glass. Certain materials allow these waves to pass through with different intensities.
Okay. So you're saying if somebody had a powerful enough emitter.
They could theoretically direct those waves at a person even inside a building.
And cause, like, I don't know, I guess harm or...
Yeah, a range of effects. Dr. Horton believes that these emitters are actually strategically placed in surrounding properties.
Wow. So you're saying, like, maybe even the property owners don't even know.
Potentially.
Wow. That's a whole other level of
Right.
kind of scary.
Yeah, it's unsettling to think about for sure.
Absolutely. But okay, but if aluminum foil can block these waves, wouldn't it also block like good waves? Like how is she using her phone and...
Well, she actually does talk about that in her account. She claims that wrapping herself in aluminum foil does provide some relief, suggesting that it does disrupt those beams, but it's not a perfect solution. And she even talks about how gaps or holes in the foil can actually amplify the pain.
So she's constantly having to battle this. It's like a...
Yeah, almost like a shield.
Yeah, a constant shield. But what does it actually feel like? What effects does she describe?
This is where it gets really disturbing. She described a range of painful sensations, often targeting specific areas of her body. She mentions pain in her teeth, her face, lungs, even her breasts.
It's interesting that it seems to be focused on certain areas.
Right. And that's something that what we should be cautious about, assigning motives without concrete evidence.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a pattern that she's observed.
Yeah. And that's what makes it so fascinating, right? Is trying to figure out, is there actually a pattern? Is there
intent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's experiencing these attacks. She's trying to shield herself. What else does she say about how this technology is being used?
Well, this is where it gets even more unsettling. She doesn't believe that the attacks are random. She actually thinks that they're meticulously controlled and planned out.
So you're saying like someone's sitting there and like targeting her specifically?
She even suspects that they're using some sort of learning algorithm that's constantly calibrating based on her reactions and movements.
So it's like a computer program designed to inflict the most pain.
Right. It's chilling to think about, but that's her reality.
Wow. Yeah, it definitely sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction movie.
It does, but for her, it's very real. She even points to a video that she calls Hack Attack as evidence of this computer-controlled nature. In the video, she demonstrates how the intensity of the attacks spike every 60 seconds, suggesting a pre-programmed pattern.
So she's not just like feeling it, but she's actually trying to analyze it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's using her scientific background to try to understand what's happening.
And that's what makes it so scary, I think, is that it's so methodical.
Absolutely. There's a level of sophistication and intent there that's deeply disturbing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And we're going to get into more of that in just a minute. Yeah, it's definitely a wild story.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's not just the technology itself, but Dr. Horton also talks about the psychological effects of these attacks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because you can't just separate the physical pain from the
mental anguish.
Yeah, the mental and emotional.
Yeah, the fear of knowing that you could be targeted at any moment.
Right. And the feeling of being watched or being followed or like your home is not safe.
Exactly. That sense of violation.
Right. She even says that she believes that the perpetrators are deliberately trying to break her down.
Right. Using tactics of humiliation and dehumanization.
It's awful to think that somebody would do that to another person.
It is. And it raises the question of why. Why her?
Yeah. Why would anybody target her with this kind of cruelty?
She suggests that often victims are chosen because they're perceived as vulnerable or isolated, easy targets.
She mentions like disabled people, people in care homes, single mothers.
Right. People who might not be believed.
It's scary to think that someone could be abused just because of their perceived weakness.
It is. And it makes it even harder to prove.
Exactly. Because if the perpetrators are choosing people who are less likely to be believed, then how do you ever...
How do you build a case?
Right. How do you prove it?
It's a real challenge, and it's something that we should keep in mind as we, think critically about these claims.
It's like a nightmare scenario where the victim is suffering, but their suffering is dismissed.
Exactly, because it sounds too unbelievable.
So where do we go from here? What can people do if they think this is happening to them?
Well, I think awareness is key. The more we understand about the potential misuse of technology, the better equipped we are to recognize warning signs.
Right. And I think, too, what really struck me about her account was the isolation that she describes. Being trapped in her own home, tormented by these invisible attacks.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many other people might be experiencing something similar, but are too afraid to speak out.
That's a good point. And it highlights the importance of community and support. If someone is experiencing something like this, feeling heard and believed can make a world of difference.
And it's also a reminder that, mental health is just as important as physical health. The trauma associated with these types of claims can be devastating.
Absolutely. Seeking professional help, if you or someone you know is struggling, is crucial, especially in situations where there's fear or paranoia.
Well, this deep dive has definitely taken us into some dark territory.
It has.
But I think it's important to have these conversations, to confront these uncomfortable truths.
I agree. We can't just bury our heads in the sand and pretend that these things don't exist.
Right. And so what's the takeaway? What do we want our listeners to walk away with after hearing all of this?
I think the most important thing is to remain curious, to keep asking questions, and to approach these kinds of claims with a healthy dose of skepticism, but also open-mindedness.
Right. Don't just accept everything you hear at face value, but don't dismiss it outright either. Do your own research. Consider different perspectives.
Absolutely.
And form your own conclusions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if this deep dive has sparked your interest in this topic, I encourage you to, delve deeper. There's a lot of information out there.
Yeah, there are tons of resources available.
Yeah. And remember the human element. If you encounter someone claiming to be a victim of something like this, listen with compassion.
Yeah. Even if we can't fully understand or verify what they're going through, we can at least offer support.
Well said.
This has been a heavy one, but I think a necessary one. Sometimes the most important deep dives are the ones that take us into those shadows.
Absolutely. It's in the shadows that we often find the most truth.
Well, thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. Yeah, it's definitely, it's hard to wrap your head around.
It really is. There's that tension between the believable and unbelievable that makes it so compelling.
Right, because you're like, okay, this person is very intelligent. She's a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
She's thinking critically about this.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying all these things that make sense on a certain level.
Right.
But then you're also thinking but microwaves, really? Is that possible?
It forces us to kind of confront the limits of our own understanding, what we think we know about the world.
Right. And it makes you think about just the pace of technological advancement. What seems like science fiction today
Yeah.
could be reality tomorrow. Right. Who knows?
Absolutely.
And so if that's true, then what safeguards do we have in place? How do we even begin to think about protecting ourselves from...
Yeah, the potential misuse of these technologies.
Right. I think a lot of times we get so caught up in the excitement of a new technology.
Yeah, we don't always think about the
ramifications of it.
The consequences.
Yeah. And it's like that old saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that responsibility lies not just with, scientists and engineers, but with all of us.
Yeah. We all have a responsibility to be informed consumers.
Right.
To be engaged citizens. To advocate for
the ethical use of these technologies.
Right, absolutely. So if this deep dive has sparked your interest, and I'm sure it has for many of you.
I would imagine so.
I definitely encourage you to do your own research. Don't just take our word for it.
Yeah. There's so much information out there.
Yeah, there's tons of resources online and libraries.
Right.
Just, be curious. Keep asking questions.
And remember the human element, If you encounter someone who claims to be a victim of something like this, just remember to listen with compassion.
Yeah, because even if we can't fully understand or verify what they're going through,
right,
we can at least offer support.
Yeah.
And sometimes just being heard and believed can make all the difference.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a good place to leave it for today. This has been a very thought-provoking deep dive, and I'm sure we're all going to be thinking about this for a while.
I know I will.
Yeah, it's one of those topics that just kind of stays with you.
It gets under your skin a little bit.
Yeah, it does. So thank you for joining us on this journey. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.